Hello everyone, I'm going to be demonstrating a very useful trick for any exponential constant number, such as 12. If you square 12, and I'm going to show you an easy way to calculate stuff such as 12 squared or 12 cubed or 15 squared, any number to any power, you can use this method to easily discover the answer to the problem. So we're going to start out with something simple to explain the method. So let's say 12 times 12. I like to use 12 just because it's, very simple, low numbers, and it's just going to explain the general idea of multiplying. So you have 10 and 2 and 10 and 2. So, adding those, 10 and 2, 12, 10 and 2, 12. So, and then you're multiplying here. So imagine this as something like x plus 1, sorry, I have horrible handwriting, times x plus 1, okay? So, it's here and here, so that's x squared plus, and so you have x times 1 and x times 1, so that's 2x plus 1 times 1, which is 1. So we're going to be using the same exact FOIL method, so these two, these, and then these, okay? So x squared, and you have 1x, and then there's another x, so that's 2 x's, and plus 1. Everybody probably has heard of this, but if you haven't, it's okay. But we're going to be using that same strategy to evaluate 12 times 12. So first thing we're going to do is 10 times 10. Sorry for the horrible video quality. It's okay. Here we go. So 10 times 10, 100. Then that plus 10 times 2. So 10 times 2 is 20. Plus 10 times 2, which is another 20. Plus 2 times 2, 4. Okay. So we have 100, 20, 24. So that's 144 once you add that up. And most people know that 12 times 12 is 144. Now we're going to do something quite a bit more complicated, just to show that this works for, I believe, anything. So let's do something like 1001 times 1001. So I'm just going to say right now, 1000 times 1000 equals 1 million. Okay? Okay, so 1000 times 1000 equals 1 million. This is just me showing that this process works for numbers over 1 million. Like, well, the square root of numbers over 1 million. So we're going to do the same process. So it's 1000, 0, 0, 1. And same thing over here. 1000, 0, 0, 1. Sorry about that. So now we multiply. So 1000 times 1000 is 1 million. Okay? Plus, so this one times 0, and then 1000 times 1. So we have 1000 plus 1000 times 0, 0. Okay, so 1. So 1000 plus 1 times 1. Bam. Now we add all this up. 1 million 2000 right there, so that's 2000, 0, 0, 1. So that's going to be 1000 times 1001 times 1001. So let's try this out. 1001 times 1001, and we get, there we go, 1,002,001, if you can see it there. Okay, so using that, let's try something not squared. We know that squares work for pretty much any number, as far as I know. So let's try 13 cubed, which I haven't done yet, but we're going to try it. So 13 times 13 times 13. There we go. So it's 10, 3, 10, 3, 10, 3. Okay, so 10 and 3, 13. So same thing as all those. So this one's a bit more complicated, but it makes it a lot more simple than just multiplying and trying to figure it out. So what you do, first times first times first. It's the same thing as FOIL, just extend it out. So 10, 10, 10 is 10 times 10 is 100 times 10, 1,000. So 1,000 plus 10 times 10 times 3. So that's 10 times 10 is 100 times 3 is 300. So 300 plus what is it? So we just did 10 times 10 times 3. Now we go 10 times 3. We switch now that we've done both of these. So see, we did this one and this one with both of these. Now we got to do this one and this one with both of these. So that's 10 times 3 times 10. So 10 times 10, 100 times 3, 300. So 10 times 3 times 3 now. So that's 9 times 10, so it's 90. Plus, okay, so now we have 4 things. We've done these two with these two. Now we need to switch to do these with all the same stuff. So 3 times 10 times 10, which is 300, plus 3 times 10 times 3, which is 90, plus 3 times 3 times 10, which is 90, plus, what do we just do, 90, so that's 3 times 3 times 3, right? So that's 9 times 3, 27. And then let me check this. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So what you'll see is you have 2 times 2 times 2. Like 2 numbers. So here's number, here's number, here's number, here's number, here's number, and here's number. So that's 2 numbers, 2 numbers, 2 numbers, which 2 times 2 times 2 is 8. So you'll have 8 terms. I hope that makes sense. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that's 6 numbers total. But remember, you're multiplying these, so you can imagine it as 2 times 2 times 2. So you have 2 times 2 times 2 is 8. So that's 8 terms. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 combinations of all these numbers. Okay. So now we'll add all this up using handy dandy calculator. You don't have to use a calculator, obviously, but so I'm just gonna do this 1,000 plus 300 plus 300 plus 90 plus 300 again plus 90 plus 90 plus 27. Oh, okay. Now, so we got 1297. So what I'm gonna do now is gonna do a cube root right here of 1297, and we should get 13. If I added it correctly. I guess I didn't. Let's try it again, sorry. 300 plus 300 plus 90 plus 300 plus 90 plus 90 plus 27. 2197. I think that's different than what we had. There you go, 13. Okay, so I guess I just added it wrong. Alright. So, messed up the first time, but that's just because I added it wrong. But, so if you do add correctly, you're going to get 13. You're going to figure out that 13 times 13 times 13 equals, it equals what we got, 2197, wasn't it? So all this added together equals 2197. So that means 13 cubed equals 2197. And this is an easy way to figure this out. Now, I'm not sure, the next thing I'm about to show you, I'm not sure how it works for cube roots, but it'd probably just be a more complicated process. But I'm going to show you how to figure out something such as, let's say you have a number, let's say 324, I believe. I'm coming up with this before. Yeah, so 324. we want to figure out what this equals. Now, if you can't figure it out the normal way, and you don't have it memorized, here's a way you can figure it out. So we know that 1 squared equals 1, 2 squared equals 4, almost wrote 2, 3 squared equals 9, and on and on and on, you know. So 16, 16, 25, 36, 49, I'm getting in the way down here, so this is 7, 6, 5, if you didn't know, so 8, 64, and 9 is 81. Squared equals. Good. So, knowing all this, now what we're looking for is that the last number equals 4. So if the last number equals 4, what you do is you pick out a number here that ends in 4. So you see that 8 and the square root of 8, or 8 squared equals 64. That ends in a 4. This also ends in a 4. So you know now that the last number of what you squared equals the last number you square, which would be 8 or 2, will end up with this. So let me show you over here. So we know 144, right? So that ends in a 4. So that means the last number of the number we squared, so the last number of this, has to be either 2 or 8, because they end in 4. So see this? It ends in 4. So over here, these end in 4. So you know it's either 2 or 8. And obviously, 18 squared doesn't equal 144. That, you can rule that out. And you know it's not 8 squared either, or like 28 or 22 or something. So you can kind of use this method to figure out these squares before you like do all of that, you know. So what we're gonna do is a way to prove this. I'll show you a way to prove this after, but so we know that since it ends in 4 right here, we know that the last number of what we squared is either 2 or 8. So we know, well, I guess we just saw this is 12 squared, but you know that 22 squared is already going to be over like 400 something. So you know it's not 22 and not 28, because that's even higher, and you know it's not 12, but you do know that it ends in an 8, so that means 18 squared. So see this? You have the 8, the last number. 18 squared equals 324. Oh, sorry, that says radical 324, so it'd just be 18. But, okay, so 18 squared equals 324. So you have, the last number is 8, so 8 squared is going to tell you that the last number of this is going to be 4. You see how that connects backwards the same way? So, now that you can figure that out, what I'm gonna show you is a way to prove and check that it equals 18. Because remember, we guessed, knowing that 12 is that, and 22 would be higher, 28 is even higher than that. You kind of guess. So far, you guess on the tens column, and you know that this one, either this one or 2, one of those two. So here's what you know. It could be either 18, 12, 22, or 28, just depending on which number's in which place. You know that it's either a 2 or 8 here because of this. I'm just explaining this over and over again to make sure everybody gets it. So, you know this ends in 4, so you look down here, 4 and 4, so that equals 2 or 8. So you know 2 or 8 there, and this, you know it's not going to be 8 squared because that's only 64. That's kind of obvious. And you know it's not going to be like 30 something, 32 or 38 squared, because that's way, way higher. That's like over 1,000. So what we have here is we're kind of stuck here looking at which one is which if you're not the best at guessing. So what we're gonna do is well, you're going to take your best guess. Well, and what we guessed was 18, right? I'm telling you right now, it's the right answer, but the 8 and 64. So what you're going to do is you take out 64 out of this. So 324 minus 64 equals 260. So now you know 260 and you know 8. So you took out the 8, remember? So there's that. And now out of the middle you take out 2 times 8. So 260 minus 2 times 8. Okay, relatively simple. So you know 260 minus 16, which then equals 260 minus 16, that's going to be 50, 44. So 244. Sorry, no. Here's what I meant to say. This is not quite the same as this one up here. See, this one we took out 8 squared, which is right here. But this time, since we're working on, remember the FOIL method? Here you had the inside, or you had the first one, then you had the last ones. But what I'm working on now is this 20 and 20. So like 4, you know, 2 and 2 squared is going to get rid of 4. But then you know 2 times one of these 2's gives you 4. So you know, remember we take off this 4, so it's 140. And then we're working on this middle part. We're trying to get rid of that. So 2 times 2, and then you're just moving over another number place. So that gets rid of that one. So that one's gone, that one's gone. Then you have 100 to figure out that this 1 times 1 gives you that 100. So I hope that makes sense, but we're actually going to add a 0 here. And what that's going to do is give us 100 for this. Sorry, this is 10. That's 10 times that, just to add a placeholder. So we now have 100, and that's now we are working on this first one, because we already did these, which is that, and then, sorry, this is for a different problem, like 12 times 12, but imagine it on the 18. So we did the 18 times 18, which is going to give us 100, and the 8 and 8 gives you 64, and then the 2 times 8 gives us 16. But the thing about this is you got to move a number's place each time. So this becomes 160. It's an odd way to think about it, but you just got to remember getting rid of this one here, but then with this number you got to move a place to get that one. But this last one already has 2 number places because of the 10. That's 10 and that's 10. So it already has 2 of the number places. So that moves it over plenty. So this is like, see, that's the 2 number places for the 1 times 1. And this is 8 times 8 for the first slot. That doesn't need a placeholder. This 8 times 2, there's 2 8s. Like 8 times 1 and 8 times 1, and then, but that is see, that's 8 times 10, so that's 80, and then 8 times 10, which is another 80, so that's 160. That's why there's that placeholder there. So 100, 160, 64, and we already got rid of the 64. We already got rid of the 160 in a very sloppy way of explaining it. Sorry, and then all we have left is 100. So then we know there's that one times that one times that one, which gives you the outside, and then 2 times the middle. We already got rid of those 2, so we know that's the first times the first. So what squared equals 100? And that's just 10 squared. So you know that it's 10 squared plus 2 times 8 times 10 Yeah. So see, you have 8 times 10, and then there's 2 of those, plus 8 squared. So this is the same as up here. You see this? So you have your x squared plus 2 times x, the one that isn't a 1, and then plus 1, which 1 is the same as 1 squared, so that's the same as this, and that's the same as the x squared. So it's a really, really interesting way to figure out all this. So, and it just takes that much space. So if you don't know 12 times 12, and if you often get confused by this method, 12 times 12, that's 4. Then you have 1 times 2, that's 2 with a placeholder. Then 2 times 2 times here, that's 2 with a placeholder. 10 times 10, 100. So, and then you gotta add all these. It's the same process. It's just a very, very nice way of thinking about it for bigger numbers. So that you don't have to do like 13. So you don't have to do 13 times 13 times 13 that same way. Because I find this very hard to look at. It's the same thing. Now down here we use 13 down here. So if we did it this way, we would get 3 times 3 times 3, so that's 27, which you can see right now, it's already starting to line up with this one. But the problem is, it's quite hard to look at it and memorize where you are going back and forth like this. You're going like left, right, right, all these different combinations. It's the same exact thing as this, just this is much easier to keep hold of, because you can keep a finger here, you can keep one finger here, and then you can work on this. So it's 10 times 10 times 10. So then you can see here, hold a finger here, 10 times 10 times that 10, and then you have 10 times 10 times that 3. Then you move this one, 10 times 3 times 10, and then 10 times 3 times the 3. So it's the same thing, just a very simple way of thinking of it if you have trouble with common multiplication. And I think multiplication like this, for numbers like this, like if we added another 1001 here, that'd get very difficult over here. But I think that stuff like this could help you figure that out. You can do this kind of multiplication with this, but we don't, because we know this is easier. So it makes it like much more simple to just write them out like this and multiply them like this. But of course that's not what you're taught, because you're taught to do it this way and only this way, because that's the proper way. But if you're having trouble with that, there's nothing wrong with that. Just you can try it a different way, and if that works better, use it. But if like your teacher needs you to show it a certain way, you can solve it over like for example 12 times 12. You can solve it like this, but then you just got to write these numbers in backwards here. So 4, 20, 20, 10, 100. And it's the same thing. It gives you 144 either way. 144. I prefer this method. It especially, thinking of it this way, helps you figure it out backwards. Because good luck if you can figure like 18 squared out backwards. I mean, a lot of people have it memorized, but if you don't, there are ways you can figure it out without having to just guess all the way through. Like I showed you, if you know the last number of this, you can always figure out the last number or there are a maximum of 2 possible choices. If the last number of this was 1, then these are the 2 possible choices. If it's 2, then it's not a perfect square, so that's not going to work out, because none of these end in 2. If it's 3, same thing, doesn't work. 4, you have this one, and this one, remember? And if it's 5, then you know the last number, if this last number is 5, you know that the last number here is going to be 5 also. And if it's 6, you know it's going to be there, 36, or 16, bam, so 4 or 6. And if it's 7, then it's not a perfect square, it doesn't work. And if it's 8, again, not a perfect square. And if it's 9, it's either 3 or 7. So you can use that to find out any of these backwards. I hope this helps whoever, and if you need to screenshot it or anything, you can look at that, but that's all I've got for you. Be sure to like and subscribe if you want to see any more videos like this. This is my first video like this, so I just want to see how much people enjoy it. So leaving a like, if I get a lot of likes on this, then I'll be able to tell if I should make something else like it. And if I don't, then maybe I won't. Tell me in the comments if there's anything that you may need explained in a better way. Thanks for watching. See ya next time, possibly.